Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Gray. It's Sunday night and normally we will be doing a 5-minute rant with me and Chris and Pete. We'll probably be picking fault with various team selections or picking fault with substitutions, complaining about defeats and worrying about relegation, but we're not. And Pete, Chris and me got our heads together and we said, we've got to do a bit of a celebration, especially after yesterday. And you all saw us on NUFC Matters Live yesterday. We were all celebrating. We're all over the moon that Newcastle should have got a win against Liverpool. Let's be perfectly honest, but we got a draw. Look, I think we all admitted we were safe last week, but I think we know we're safe now. So we've called this the Great Escape. I don't think there's any concerns from our side of things. That's why we decided to do tonight's episode. And I wanted to get some of the guys and girls on just to talk about Newcastle and talk about the Great Escape. Where did it start? Why did it start? But let's talk a little bit about yesterday's game first. Daz, you were on the panel yesterday. Wow, what a game. Newcastle-Liverpool away at Anfield. It's a game where, we normally expect nothing, and we get nothing. But we went there. I think most of us, as you went around the panel yesterday afternoon, all had a degree of confidence. We all thought, wow, we might get something out of this game. Nobody was predicting 5 or 6-0 and Liverpool are going to run riot. I think, if people weren't predicting a draw, some of us were predicting a win. And we got a point, and it was a deserved point after that second half performance. But yeah, talk us through yesterday's game, Daz. What's your thoughts after sleeping on it?
Yeah, so in the shows leading up to the game, really, I predicted losses in both shows, and then on Matchday Live I said a 1-1 draw. So I got that right, and I did get the draw right at the 28th of December as well. I said a draw for that one. I don't normally get them right. So but in the game itself, I was watching on Sky Go, so I was really listening intently to Pete and the reactions of everybody else. So when the first goal went in, when Wilson's goal went in, I was celebrating like crazy, and then obviously found out then it was chalked off with VAR. So I was a bit more hesitant the second time when Willock's goal went in. So. Delighted. I don't think, I know people are saying, we should have got the win, but Liverpool were all over us. De Burke was brilliant, and he was man of the match for me. And even if Wilson's goal had counted, I don't think we would have been pushing forward as much. We would have sat back. So I don't think we would have got a win. I was absolutely delighted with the draw. But it was a great match. Beyond, it's a pity I wasn't watching the live rather than on Sky Go. But then with the breaks, I'll still never forget. One of my favorite moments was back when it was the Crystal Palace game where Joe Linton scored, and I think I was a couple of seconds ahead of everyone else. And that's a great feeling to be ahead. So be behind is not as fun. But great to be there. Delighted.
The main thing is, Daz, at least the goal still counts. Whether you're ahead or you're behind, it still counts. Nathan, good to see you, mate. Always great to have you on, mate. Missed you the last few weeks. Wow. I mean, this has been mental, hasn't it? This last few weeks, it's been like a Newcastle United, therapy session whenever we've done Matchday Live. Not because of COVID, not because we've been locked down, but because the football's been atrocious and Bruce has been useless. But in the last few weeks, when you've been missing, it has to be said, Nathan, things have started to pick up. But you're back to give your views on it. Give us your views on yesterday's game.
Yeah, I've come back now that we're safe because there's no danger of me jinxing anything else. So, yesterday when I was sat there, when the first goal went in and it got disallowed, I was my mate was with me watching the game as well, and I was up and around the front room, and I was like shouting my head off and swearing and stuff. And then when they went and scored, my mate was on Twitter as well, and he was refreshing it, and he was like, "Oh, it's offside as well." I would turn around, I was like, "You fucking joking me?" Like, I was like swearing all over again. He's like, "No, I'm only joking. It counted." I'm like, "You absolute bastard!" I was furious. But yeah, it's been a mad couple of weeks. I didn't think we'd be in this position where we are now. I didn't expect this upturn in form. But yeah, it's been great to see the lads really get stuck in the last couple of weeks. I think Bruce has got a lot of stick, I think, over the course of the season, and rightly so. I think Alan Shearer put it perfectly yesterday when he said, when Bruce made that comment to him on Match of the Day, and he said, "Well, no wonder I'm miserable because I've been watching Newcastle United all season." I think that echoes how we've all felt through this year. But I'm glad I've been able to watch the games with you guys, because it's got me through at times, because I don't think I'd have been able to sit through it on my own for most of the games. But yeah, I think this run that we've come into now, I think it's coincided with a lot of our good players, our better players coming back, and it just shows what a difference those sort of key players make to that team. I think Graham Jones, with the new formation that we're playing now, that works better for those players within that formation. And I think it's I want to you want to give Bruce credit, but I think at the same time it's just about timing. It's about timing of these key players coming back. I mean, he's made a few good substitutions in recent weeks. You've got to give him credit there. And I think he's dropped Hendrick, which has been a big bonus. I think there's still that reluctance to drop Shelby. We saw it yesterday when he wanted to bring Willock on, and he even put Shelby back into centre half just to keep him on the pitch. And it's just unbelievable, isn't it? Like taking an actual centre half off for him. But yeah. No, it's been great to see an upturn in form, and it's nice to go into the last few games with that much pressure on. I think we're safe now, but any other points we get is a bonus, I think, from here.
Danny, you were with us yesterday, mate. You've been back the last few weeks. Amazing, hasn't it? It's just been amazing, hasn't it? The last few weeks. I mean, not brilliant football, but ultimately it's been match-winning football. We've managed to get the points. We've managed to get the points in the bag. Fulham's decline has helped us as well. But, it's just a relief. And we're not having to go into those last couple of games against Sheffield and Fulham looking over our shoulders anymore.
Yes, that's brilliant. 35 days now since the Brighton loss. That's how many days it is now. And it's been brilliant. No arguments hardly on Twitter and all that. Going back to the match, I thought it was 4-1 to Liverpool at the first half, and we should have won 2-1 at the end. The goal should have stood. It wasn't a deliberate handball. Apparently, I watched the Sky Sports this morning, and the referee was on, and he was saying that rule was supposed to be coming in next season, but we got disallowed that goal for, with the goalkeeper hitting the hand on his elbow. It's supposed to have. But like I said, it was a great result. You don't get results like that at Anfield. Not many teams do anyway, even without a full house.
Yeah, and you beat Spenny. Just got to say, personally, I mean, we're having a bit of laughing joke beforehand, but you've been in hospital a day. Are you okay?
I'm all right. It's just an energy. I'm fracturing my wrist as well, so
God.
I'll be all right. I'll be up and
Spenny,
about.
you love a drama, son. You love a drama, but you're still okay. You're still here, mate, and I hope I get well soon with your wrist. Pete, wow. Pete controlled the show yesterday. He was in charge of the match day live. He had to give in at the end because he was absolutely knackered, but it just you couldn't believe it, Pete.
This club just destroys me week after week, season after season. I don't think my heart could take any more after the Callum Wilson incident and then Joe Willett getting the equaliser. It just means everything, Everyone on the panel yesterday, it meant everything to everybody. I think the celebrations for Willett's goal just kind of gives you that example. Staying in this league with the potentials that we've got coming this summer, it just means everything to the fans, and that result was massive. It reminds me a little bit of what we saw under Rafa Benitez, when Rafa Benitez drew 2-2 there. Obviously that season eventually went down, but you could see that heart and that desire, that ability to fight for the team, for the club. And it was just great to see. And we didn't talk about it at the time, but I loved the fact that they all celebrated with Bruce, regardless of our opinions of him. I love that picture of Willett giving him a hug. Maximin, who's been questionable with regards to his relationship with Bruce, is there hugging him. Dummett's in there. They all join in. Richie joins later on, but you can't really see that on screen. It's just great to see that togetherness, because that's what we've wanted. We wanted those players to stick together, and we felt a long periods of the season that's not been the case, and it's come at the right time. If you're asking me when I think the Great Escape started, I'd probably say it was back to those 3 draws: West Brom, Wolves, and Villa. And it might not have seemed like it at the time, but we stopped the rot in terms of losing matches. And getting points on the board. And I think that really, you look back to all those results now, and actually the Brighton results, the anomaly. The fact that we got hammered that week, that's the anomaly of our recent form. And that just goes to show that actually things have turned around massively. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy about it at the moment.
Yeah, we'll look a bit more into that and the feeling of the panel as to why things turned around. Holly, you had a well-deserved day off. You've been fantastic on the panel the last few weeks, given your perspective. But you were otherwise engaged yesterday. When you caught up with the game, what was your views?
Well, I got to see the first 15 minutes and then I couldn't watch the rest of that. So at that point, I wasn't feeling the most happy because obviously we're 1-0 down at that point. But I checked the score as soon as I came out of my appointment, and then I was so shocked, and I must have looked like a crazy person because I was in the middle of the street and I was shouting, "We've got a point!" God knows what people thought, but I wasn't bothered. I was just so happy that we got a point because I wasn't expecting us to. But it was absolutely brilliant because I thought we were safe last week after that West Ham result, like most people did, but getting that point, it just makes you even more comfortable. And I think now whatever points we do get is just a bonus, and I think we should get a few more points. But it's just so much of a relief, because I think for a long time we thought it could have went down to the last game of the season, and there was one point where I was convinced we were down, but now we've turned it around, and I'm so happy about that. And like Pete said, regardless of what we think of Steve Bruce, I'm really happy that the players seem to be playing for him now and more on his side, because, of course, I didn't want him to get the job in the first place, but once he did, I wanted him to do the best he could, and I think everyone wanted to, because if Steve Bruce does well, so does Newcastle. So I'm just really happy that the manager seems to be working a lot better with the players from now on, and hopefully that continues till the end of the season.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. Kieran, you were part of the Matchday Live squad yesterday, and I think what people love about you is that you sometimes give your own independent commentary when other people are trying to speak, if that's the best way to put it. But also that you're a bit of a realist. You're a realist, Kieran.
Yeah, yes.
You're not somebody who goes with everybody else's opinion. You give your own opinion. And I know you and Spenny have a good bit of banter during the match since Spenny come back. But in a nutshell, you are right. It's the way most of us have felt all season. Newcastle have been crap. Steve Bruce has been atrocious. But as Pete's rightly pointed out, and I'm sure the rest of the panel will discuss this as we'll go on in the next 45 minutes, but, when it came about, how it came about. But just yesterday's game was great because, like I said right at the top of the programme, Newcastle against Liverpool at Anfield, you usually write it off. And most of us were saying it was a free hit. But that was a good result yesterday, Kieran.
It was brilliant result. And obviously, I didn't watch the game, but I watched it this morning, and obviously the main talking point was the disallowed goal. But also, what about Fabinho? How did he not get? He didn't get a red card, did he? I thought he should have sent off for that. I played in a game the other week, and a similar incident, he got a straight red. So I don't understand. I don't understand what they're seeing in that. To be honest, I thought we deserved the point, and we could, like you said earlier on, we could have even won it. But I think we'll be all right now. I think it's just a case of what happened with the sale of the club going forward.
I was wondering what you would find to complain about, Kieran. Now I know what it is.
Yeah.
You're going to revert back to the takeover.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got to It's got to happen, isn't it? It's just got to happen. I'm still hopeful, but just have to wait and see.
Rachel, who watches all of our shows 7 days a week, sometimes 8 days a week, if she can fit it in. She wants you to give her a smile, Kieran.
There you go.
There you go, Rachel. There you go. Chris, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Steve. Yeah, you?
Yeah, good, mate. And big thanks to you and Daz and Martin and Rich for having us on Loaded Mag. Great show. Thoroughly enjoyed it, despite Martin trying to stitch us up on the quiz. But what a result yesterday, mate. And you, of course, sitting a stone's throw, or should we say a magpie's flight from Anfield. Must be an extra buzz for you this morning, waking up and knowing that you've took a point off the Premier League winners from last season.
Oh, mate, it was. Do you know what? There was absolute scenes in our living room yesterday. I'm so glad. I don't know how you all did it. I'll be honest. I don't know how you did it because my emotions were up and down, and it was funny. But touching on what you said earlier, Steve, about normally, like I went to Anfield, with the last game, and I was on the front row. I think I told you all. And Jethro Williams scored that fantastic goal, and literally for like 30 seconds, I honestly couldn't tell any of you what happened because I just went bananas, and the away end just went mad, and it was amazing. One of the best ways I've been to, and then slowly but surely, reality crept in, and then obviously, we ended up losing 3-1. But yeah, touching on what you said earlier, Steve, it was weird yesterday because I just had this optimism, and even it was funny because we went 1-0 down after 3 minutes, and my lads were sat next to me, and my friends was in the living room as well, who was also a Liverpool fan, and he started laughing at me, and I got my Keegan head on. I was going, "What are you on about?" I was going, "We're still in this game. That was a lucky goal. Oh, it was a great finish." But I was like, 9 times out of 10, he puts that in Rose head. I said, "You got lucky there." And I said, "We're going to do something here. The game's not over." And all through the match, I just kept thinking, we're going to get something here. We're going to get something. And then, obviously, when we got the equaliser with Callum Wilson, I was going mad. And then he started laughing at me again because he was like, "It's off. It's ruled out. Couldn't believe it. And I was absolutely devastated. And I had Matchday Live on my phone, and I saw all your reaction. And it was just so horrible. And then when Willock put it in, I just went mental. It was so good, and it was nice actually as well watching the cup final today because I saw all the fans back in the stadiums, and I just thought I can't wait for that. Can't wait to meet you all in Newcastle, go and watch a match, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Just sharing these experiences with fellow fans, and it's just I've loved being on the show, and I've been gutted actually because I've missed the last 2 Matchday Lives, but I always tune in, and it's great watching you all, and it's really fantastic viewing.
Yeah, you've still been there in the chat though, mate. You've still managed to chip in, which is great, and it's greatly appreciated. Al-Walid, great to see you, mate, and thanks for coming on. I know that you're still fasting, of course, Ramadan.
No.
Oh no, finished now? Oh, finished?
I had just coffee. I finished, yeah.
Oh, very good. Well, congratulations. No. So what have you been eating?
No, I mean, Ramadan's still not finished, but today we eat, yani.
Oh, so today is a day off?
Yeah. No, it's...
well, there you go. You've educated me. So what
we eat at night. At night.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, good stuff. So, I guess I want to ask you about the Liverpool game, but for a fact I am going to ask you about MBS later on in the big interview. So, bear that in mind. But Liverpool yesterday, you were part of the Matchday Live squad yesterday. Fantastic result. When you look back, it must be great for you. You're a recent Newcastle convert, and just watching us go wild, I suppose, must be funny for you.
No, it's not like funny. It's really emotional yesterday because first time I think I watched too many games. It's first time I saw 2 goals in the injury time, and first one it's cancelled, it's off. So I think this is it was first experience when you go. Remember when the Wilson goal, we feel beaten after they cancel the goal, after we jump and we celebrate. So suddenly, and it's like roller coaster of emotion. we were so happy and so sad and so happy again. And it was a nice moment, a great moment. I expect yesterday a draw with goals because I noticed lately the good games we have, most of the good games we have, we repeat it. Like Tottenham, it was draw for home and away. Burnley win home and away. West Ham win home and away. And even Liverpool, I remember, I think in Christmas, I think time, we had a draw. That's why I expect a draw. We are lucky that we are playing with the big six, and I think all the big six now, they are suffering. They are not stable. So it's good for us that we are playing them at the end of the season, most of the team. And I think we start the escape thing. I think I felt it once we beat Southampton with 9 players.
Okay, yeah. I mean, let's look at that now, Daz. When did this start? I mean, Pete's already said he felt that period of games where we managed to get the draws was when he felt it was. I've got to be honest. I agree, because before I came on air tonight, I've looked at the games, and he is right. Peter is right that Brighton game was a bit of a blip, because if you go back to Manchester United, 21st of February. Newcastle lose 3-1. St. Maximin gets the goal. Rashford, James and Fernandes score for Manchester United. But from that moment in time, Newcastle tightened things up. 27th of February, 1-1 against Wolves. Sunday 7th of March, 0-0 against West Brom. Then we faced Aston Villa, 1-1. Lascelles get that last minute equaliser. And then, we play Brighton, horrendously embarrassed, 3-0, as we were in the corresponding fixture. But from that moment in time, Newcastle turned it round. 2-2 against Tottenham. And then we played Burnley, we win 2-1. Beat West Ham, Champions League contenders, 3-2. And then we get a draw yesterday against Liverpool, 1-1. So is Pete right? Is that when the great escape started?
It was... For me, there's a few factors there that kind of a chain of events with Jones coming in, with a change in formation, with bringing Richie back in, with our key players coming back as well at that key time. So, and I was thinking back as well, just kind of throughout the season, like where I said at the start of the season I thought we'd finish around 17th, and then with the Bruce out show, and we set him a challenge, and he nearly completed the challenge. He always kind of pulls something out of the bag when I least expect it, actually. And then for myself, from a personal opinion, the Brighton game, the second 3-0 defeat, I was at the lowest point I could be, because I thought, that's it, we're gone here. Unless we change Bruce, we are gone. And then again, he just pulls it out of the bag. And like credit to him over the last few games, he's got we got draws, he's got wins, he's got the points when I didn't think he would get. I didn't think it would be this close to being safe, mathematically safe at this stage. But no, and I think it was Spenny that said it yesterday, just on Bruce. He has to be a contender for manager of the month, actually, this month, and he would deserve it. And all the we did about him, fair play to him. We have to say something good about him as well. I still don't want him next season, but and just to answer your question, I suppose, it's from that Brighton game onwards for me. It's when things turned around, and I suppose the key one as well is Richie coming back in and going to 5 at the back. And I know when we talked about Richie before, probably around the transfer window in January, I said we should sell him, but sell him because we're not playing him. There's no point in him sitting on the bench. But then then there was the bust up, and then he played him. So keep him if we're going to play him, because he brings that passion and that is something extra as well to the team, and a bit of leadership. But to round off on the actual question you asked me, it was from the Brighton game on for me.
Yeah, it does. It's a tough one to answer, because Pete thinks it was beforehand. I've got to agree with Pete. I think it was beforehand. I think the Brighton game was a blip. But like you're saying, there's so many common denominators, so many factors. Richie coming back in, something which I championed on this show week in, week out. You need to bring Richie back in. But the fact that he fell out with him was always going to be, the elephant in the room. He was always going to have that issue, and the same with Longstaff. I've praised Steve Bruce, and I've been criticised on Twitter for praising him. Why shouldn't you praise a manager who has managed to turn things around? Exactly. And it's not down to Graham Jones. It's not down to Steve Agnew. It's a collective responsibility. The manager and the players have all stood up and were counted at the time that they needed to be and got us the results. But, it's we've entitled tonight the Great Escape because I feel it is a great escape. And we all thought we were dead and buried. You've nailed it, Daz. We were dead and buried. We were, and we all accepted it on this program. None of us had. We started mentioning the R word, and that when you start doing that on podcasts, you know that it's serious. Nathan. Oh, go on, Daz. Have you got another?
No,
point?
yeah, no, and then when you mention the R word, our thought turns back to the takeover. And will the takeover go through? Will the Saudis and Amanda and the Rubens want us if we're in the championship? And that all goes through your head because for this season, all about for me was to survive so we can have our hope that takeover goes through. And if it doesn't go through this summer, we're back to the start again, and we're back to the same cycle again, and we're here for the season. Whether we're, we don't want to go there. Don't think about it yet.
Let's not think that too far ahead.
God, or dear God, dear Allah, dear whoever you worship to. I'm not being funny, but if it goes into the next season, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. Nathan, for us, it's just a case of when do you personally feel things changed?
I think the obvious thing to say is when Graham Jones came in and we picked up 2 wins where, with the exception of the Crystal Palace game in between them, but for those 3 games we played some really good football and we looked like the best. That game against Everton, that was probably the best or one of the best performances of the season for me. We looked, going off the back of that horrendous run that we'd been on, we looked actually like a decent team again for once. I think I've said it on here before. I think after that moment, it was quite clear that sort of Steve Bruce had got the hump a bit with Graham Jones, and I think Graham Jones came in and took a lot of credit for those 2 wins, certainly in the press, and I think that got Bruce's back up. I think there were a lot of. I remember the Newcastle United Twitter, they were posting pictures from the training ground of like Graham Jones working with the players and stuff, and that was something that we never saw pictures of Bruce and Clement and Aggie. We never saw pictures of those sort of, up close with the players. So it was almost like a nod to fans to say, something's sort of going on behind the scenes, and there is, quite a significant change. And I think Bruce tried to sort of minimise that. Really, I think Graham Jones was in the stands for a number of games. He was coming down at half time and one thing and another. I think that we know Bruce has got a very sort of fragile ego, and I think his decision to sort of leave Jones out in the cold a bit, I think that contributed to like some of the poor performances we saw after, because we saw the performances drop straight back to like really low energy, low level performances. When we went to Wolves, we had the Chelsea and Man United game that were next to each other, and that was, we didn't expect anything from those games, but I went into the Wolves game and we gave a really good performance where we were unlucky to not win that game, and then we went into the West Brom game after that. And that was it. We needed points, and it was a missed opportunity, wasn't it? It was we didn't play well, we didn't try very hard, and it was almost like we'd set up for a draw, didn't we? And we were all thinking. I remember at that time we were all thinking, time's running out here, and we're not gonna pull it back. And I think that was at a time where, Fulham around that time was starting to show some real fight. They were picking up points, and they were putting in good performances as well. Around that time, we had all the massive divisions with in the camp with the Richie thing, the Mole stories, all that kind of thing. And for me, at that point, it had all the hallmarks of a relegation story, didn't it? like trouble in the camp, not playing well, not picking up points, conceding goals after that Brighton game in particular. So yeah, for me after that, it seemed like I thought, I was pretty sure we were going to go down, or it was going to come to the last game of the season and be a straight shootout. But for me, I think it changed on the Tottenham game when we showed that fight to get to get a point at Tottenham, and then going on to after that we talked about winnable games. We had that Burnley game, and it wasn't a foregone conclusion, that Burnley game. Burnley, you've seen them today. They've demolished Wolves today. Not obviously I'm from here, but they're not a bad side, and it wasn't a straightforward win at all for us. But I think it's what we saw around this time was like the change in sort of attitude from the players, because there was no fight before. Previously, there was no fight. There was no get up and go. There was no urgency. We looked as though we were mid-table and cruising. We didn't look like we were in a relegation dogfight. And all the pundits, they were jumping on board around that time saying that we were done. But I think if there's anything that characterises sort of fight and an ability to have some grit and get stuck in, it's last minute winners and last minute goals, and that's the team we might not have played well, but we've dug in and we've stuck in there right to the end of the game. And there's been games where we've looked out of it before by half time, but that's not been the case in these last sort of 5 or 6 games. And I think that's really what's seen us safe.
Great point on Burnley. I mean, Burnley, as you say, 4-0 against Wolves today. I mean, the teams that we've took points off in the last few weeks, they're no mugs, and despite what's been going on at Tottenham, Jose obviously out of a job now, but Tottenham, no mugs, got some great players in there, Nathan, and Newcastle have now just took a point and could have possibly had all 3 against the league champions from last year at Anfield. I mean, it's a huge turnaround, and like you say, Steve Bruce, no matter what we've said about him on this programme, that's football fans. It's we pay our money, we take our chance, and we can criticise as much as we like because it's our club. But the guy has been a bit of a nightmare all the way through the season. But the dressing room fallout, which clearly happened, we know it happened, and his fallout with the likes of Richie and Sean Longstaff, ultimately, could have kiboshed our season and could have seen us hurtling into the Championship, but it didn't. And he has made the peace with those players, and that is what has changed things.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. Like that's there's always a team, isn't there, every season where where they go down, and it's been about sort of unrest in the camp and stories leaking out left, right, and centre. And when you have an unhappy camp, that's what's going to happen. Stories get out. If things are all well, then we don't hear about those stories. But yeah, it was clear there was rifts there, and it was clear that was, and that's the kind of thing that does make the wheels come off the season. But what I would say is, I think that Bruce has been quite lucky in that we've had some good, our better players have come back to the team around this time. St. Maximum and Callum Wilson, and also an Almiron as well, because without them we looked abject, didn't we? Without them in those couple of games that we didn't have any one of the 3. But it makes you wonder sort of what we could, how far up the table we could climb if we had a full strength team week in, week out, and we had a manager that was picking the right team and getting the best out of those players. But he's getting the bare minimum out of them, isn't he at the moment? And we've that shows in where we're going to finish in the table.
Yeah, it does. I remember Paul Oxley, who's a regular in the chat, saying that when St. Maximum come back, and Colin Wilson, I think, as well, was another one. David Reid was another one who is a regulars in the chat. They've all said, we'll get the players back, we should be okay. David Reid, who obviously does, contribute to the 5-minute rant that me, Pete, and Chris do on a regular basis, has been Mr. Confident all the way through. Whenever these people come back, whenever these players come back, we'll be fine. Spenny, did you have the same kind of confidence when, ASM and Wilson were coming back? Did you think things were going to change as dramatically as they did? And are you in agreement with Daz and with Nathan that, it was the Brighton game when Jamal Lascelles allegedly, had a bit of a go at the other players, as he should do as a captain when things aren't going well. Are you the one who points to the Brighton game and says that was the game that changed things?
For me, I put a tweet out about 8 weeks ago about this, the players coming back and sort of thing. I got trolled to hell, argued anything on Twitter about it. I said, this team is good enough to stay up when the players are back. We'll get points when these players come back. And they are. For me, the turn of the tide was the Lascelles equaliser near the end of the match against, was it Everton or someone?
Was it Aston Villa?
Aston Villa. I think that goal there before the Brighton game was to show the rest of the team we can score goals, because we were going through a barren run. We couldn't score a goal. I think it was in about 5 games. Plus Jones coming in and organising the team a bit better. I think that's been a really big thing as well for me. And I'm going to say this now. The worst judge it is for Bruce, but honest, I think he's done an excellent job this last 2 or 3 months. He has. For me, he's turned it round. Steve McLaren didn't do it. Robert couldn't do it. You know what I mean? We're better teams. We had better teams then, and he's done it. What the main thing has been is bringing the likes of Matt Ritchie in, Longstaff, Dummett. the ones who want to fight for the club. And obviously, Dubaka as well, the goalkeeper. He's been a good. Him coming back as well has given that defence a bit more confidence. Because it didn't have any confidence.
Spenny, that's a great way to look at it. Actually, you know, we've compared Rafa Benitez and Steve Bruce so many times over the last, 12 months since we started doing NUFC Matters. And as you all know, I'm a big Rafa fan. Work for Rafa at the club. However, you are right. You know, this has been Steve Bruce under pressure. Despite him not having fans in, it's the one thing I will say. He didn't have fans in the ground.
What about different managers, Steve, wouldn't he?
Because if there'd been fans in the ground, as we were approaching that, that period where we were just awful before Graham Jones came in, he probably would have been out of a job. If it was under any normal circumstances, you would expect Bruce to have been sacked. I mean, look at the managers that have been sacked before Steve Bruce this season. You know, Jose Mourinho. He's not even out the top 8, and he's been sacked before Steve Bruce.
I was going to add something else as well. It just shows player power as well. Player power happened in Man United as well with Pogba and that when Mourinho was there. They got him out the job. And player power has helped Bruce get them back in the team. I think they've gone together and told Bruce, get him in. And they've told him to put them players in that team because they need the passion in there. That's what I think anyway.
It's only 4 weeks ago that dressing room was broken. Craig Hope was reporting it in the Daily Mail, and he wasn't far wrong. And our contacts that we've got at the club and those people on the outside, we're all saying exactly the same thing. But like I said, and Pete, I'm coming to you next. You and I have both got the experience of managing at a non-league level, and I'm afraid anyone who thinks, "Oh God, here he goes again talking about non-league," but you know what? It makes no difference what league of football you're in. If you lose the dressing room or you fall out with players in the dressing room, it's going to cause you an issue because it creates a divide. Suddenly, you've got half the dressing room supporting the manager and half the dressing room supporting the player that's in under scrutiny or who's fell out with the manager, and that doesn't set up well on the pitch because people suddenly have to take sides, and that's the way it is, Pete, isn't it? And that's why Steve Bruce deserves credit for turning this around.
I agree, 100%. You see it every week, every season, no matter what team and what level you play at. You have to keep your players on side because by keeping your players on side, you know that they're giving 100% for you. You know that what your instructions you're giving out, that they're going to follow them through. And there's been large parts of this season where you can tell that these players have not been playing for Bruce. Now, there were 2 particular games, and I've mentioned it before, that stick out for me. And it's Sheffield United away and it's Brighton away. And those 2 games for me had the absolute stonewall makings of a group of players that were trying to get the manager sacked. And those 2 performances, out of all of the season, they're 2 of the worst performances of the season. They're the 2 performances that say to me that they wanted the manager sacked the next day. And both times it never happened. And I think after the second time, against Brighton, I think it was made crystal clear by the quick response from Mike Ashley or from the club to say he's not going anywhere. Bruce is staying in charge. And I think at that point, the players and the manager have got together and said, look, whether you like it or not, from both sides, we have to get through this. As a manager, I'm not going anywhere. As a group of players, you've got to kind of deal with the fact that, I'm in charge of the club, and I think that's where that's where the likes of Richie, the likes of Longstaff, and they've probably got their heads together, and that's where the changes are made because you have to be in agreement in order to play your best football. You have to be in agreement in terms of the way you want to play, where you're playing on the pitch. If you're giving 100% on the pitch, it's because you're together and you're working together, and that's why it was so great to see everyone together after that game against Liverpool when we got the goal, because it showed that everyone was working together, and you need that to be successful. You need that. You could tell. You could go look at Sheffield United, for example. Last season they were together. You could tell they were working for each other. This season you could tell they weren't, and there were problems, and the problems only really came about when just before Wilder left. in terms of there was a difference in vision, and they could tell that the manager wasn't happy. And because the players knew the manager wasn't happy, it affected their performances. It's exactly the same with us. And you know, look, whether it's a case of Bruce has said, look, let's get through this season, and then we'll make a decision on our futures in terms of whether he walks away, whether he stays, whether certain players leave. Who knows? We won't know that until the end of the season. But you know, I'm certainly happy that they've managed to do that, because we're in a position now where we're now looking up rather than looking down, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree, Pete. It's just amazing turnaround, mate. Amazing turnaround. That's the beauty of football. You know, supporting a team like Newcastle. We don't win multitudes of trophies. We don't get a chance to go to constant cup finals. But you know, at this moment in time, under this owner, that is like, it's a major victory. You know, going to Anfield and getting a 1-1 draw. That's how our stock has. You know, our stock has slowly, you know, fallen over the last few years. And for me, you know, that was just great. I mean, again, we've talked about it many times, Pete, but doing Match Day Live, you know, it wasn't an idea about how can we bring another show to the channel. It was just, should we all do something just to sit and watch the match together? And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, it doesn't work, but we'll still do it. And it's been enjoyable, hasn't it? It's been a laugh. And, you know, seeing people sharing the celebration yesterday, Pete, in particular, was great. And it's given all you guys and girls a chance to be able to present the show as well. You know, like Nathan's done it, Daz has done it, you've done it, Daz and you, and I mean, Chris, Martin, you've gone off to do your own shows. But like for me personally, just to watch you guys present it, and me to sit back, it's given me the last couple of weeks, when Chris did it last week, people have gone, wow, emotion from you, Steve. I'm going, yeah, because I'm not sitting here having to get all the content up and do everything. I'm actually able to celebrate the goal. So thanks to you yesterday, I was caught in the emotion of it again, you know, Pete, it was great.
And I've got to be honest, Steve. You know, obviously Daz and one or two others have presented as well, and what it goes to show is how difficult it is, because it is you're wanting to watch the game and enjoy the game, but you're obviously asking loads of questions and you're getting responses. You're trying to make sure you're going around the panel. You've got so many things to think about that, you know, the one thing for me is that I was obviously asking questions and we were discussing various different points in the game, but it felt like at times, particularly in the first half, the game was just kind of whizzing by, because you're going through certain things. And I have to say, in some weeks of this season, it's been an absolute gift. The fact that the games felt like it's just whizzed by because we're just chatting away, and that's the beauty of it. And you know, if we weren't on Match Day Live, we'd all be watching it individually, and I think it would be, some of these games this season would have been absolute, even more so, torture than it has been with us being together. And the fact that we can discuss certain topics, the fact that we're all together, you know, watching the game and sharing in the emotion, the frustrations, the anger, but also the jubilations as well of getting the goal or getting something. It just makes it all the more sweeter, particularly when you get results like we did yesterday, that none of us were really expecting, certainly late on in the game.
Yeah,
I thought you were better than Steve, like.
He was definitely better than me. But you know what? The emotion is the one thing. And what I've loved about it, and I've watched a couple of them back, because it's that whole thing where when you're at the match and you're sitting next to somebody, I mean, I sit next to my dad and my brother, but when you're sitting next to people at the game, you know, you've got this impression that people aren't watching the game, they're on the phone. This is the modern day era. People are on the phone, they're checking. I can't get a reception in there. I'm sure Mike Ashley's blocked my signal. But you can't get a reception on your phone. You're sitting there. Some people are picking their nose. Some people are talking to their mate. Some people are reading the programme. They're not watching the game. But with Match Day Live, we've got to watch the game because we're commenting on it and we're sitting in my house and we're doing it. And it's just that reaction of people. Do you know what I mean? And we've gone on that emotional ride. I think me and Mick, we were talking about this with Nathan and me, like last year, and Daz and that one, we started doing these. It's that emotional roller coaster where if you watch it back, that's the life of a football fan. you go 1-0 down, you're like, oh God, and this is ridiculous. We're going down, and then you get an equaliser, and it's come on, and then it's 2-1, and you're winning, and it's like we're going to win the league. That's what it's all about, and we call ourselves fickle as football fans, but that is just being a football fan, Pete, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, and then I think it's been a better social experiment for us doing this than probably Big Brother was over 17-18 series. I think it's been amazing. You'll watch back on these and go, wow, that's what it's actually like being a football fan. Holly, coming to you. That whole period where we got those draws, but then we got hammered off Brighton. You look back on the games that we did and look back on the shows from that week, and everybody was like down. Me included, we all thought, I can't see a way out of this. But Steve Bruce has managed to find a way out, and the great escape has been possible because of him, because of the coaching staff, and because the players have backed his ideas.
Yeah, 100%. And I was very critical of the squad because I felt like for a long time Steve Bruce was taking all of the blame, and that annoyed me because I thought, no, the players have got to be answerable as well, because they're the ones that are actually on the pitch doing the work, and they weren't stepping up and they weren't doing what they were asked to be doing. And now that they've seemed to have come together more, it's made the fans a lot more united as well, because I think we've seen a lot more less bickering and stuff about the likes of going down and everything like that. And I do think that Matt Ritchie and Martin Dubravka coming back into the side has had a big impact, because I think both of those players are two very strong characters on the pitch for us, and that's something that we need at this point in the season. I mean, Matt Ritchie, he is an unsung hero, really. I think he did a great job for us in previous seasons gone by. He's never got the credit that he deserves sometimes, but this season I think we've all seen just how much Matt Ritchie can do for this side when he's called upon. And Martin Dubravka as well, I just think he's always excellent. He's always commanding his box, always telling the players what to do, shouting out orders. And that's something that we missed when Caldolo was in the side, despite him being quite a good keeper. And then as well, I do want to credit Jamal Lascelles as well, because I was really not happy with him as the captain. I couldn't understand why he was in that role, and I just felt like he wasn't up to it at all. But he scored those two important equalising goals before he got injured, which were massive. And then he had to go at the players in the Brighton game, which was when I feel like the season turned around. Because before that, I think we'd started to turn it around a little bit. But I don't think if we hadn't have had that heavy defeat from Brighton, it would have happened as well as it has. I don't think we would have got all the results that we have done if that hadn't have happened, because I think that was a real wake-up call. And whatever Jamal Lascelles said after that game, I think was really powerful and really effective. And it got in the players' heads that, listen, you need to do a job now, because if you don't, we are going to be a championship team next season, and nobody wants that. It's not in the best interest of the club, the fans, any of the players, the manager, anyone. It's not good enough. And when it got to about mid-March, which I think is when Rafa Benitez came in, the last time we were relegated, and we were still on a poor run at that point, I thought, I think we're done now. I don't think that if Bruce stays, I think we'll go down. And I don't think if we brought in a replacement now, we'd have enough time. But then for Steve Bruce to stick around, for Mike Ashley to be stubborn and say that he wasn't going to sack him, and he started picking up the results, he deserves full credit for that. And I'm really, really happy that he has done that. And I just think that it'll mean a lot to him. And the likes of local players coming back into the side, Paul Dummett, I think, has been outstanding, Sean Longstaff. It means a lot more for the local players, I feel, because they really get the area and what it means to the fans, more so than players from maybe abroad. But I just think that Steve Bruce, yes, I have criticised him, saying that he's not really a Geordie at heart, but I think he's started to prove himself a little bit more now, and I do think it'll mean a lot to him if we stay up this season, which we probably will.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, again, because you criticise somebody so much through a season, you stand open to criticism when you pat them on the back. And I've patted them on the back on social media this weekend, again, as I did last weekend and the weekend before. And people going, well, what you patting them on the back for? It's not him to thank. But it is, because he's still head coach. He is still the man who has to pick the team, and he's still the man who, whether we like it or not, is in charge of team affairs. And And it was nice, Holly, to see yesterday in particular, he paid thanks to Graham Jones. He was asked about Graham Jones and he actually thanked him. And for me, that is the first time he publicly thanked Graham Jones.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really positive thing, because I think a lot of us felt as though when Graham Jones came in, Steve Bruce wasn't happy about that, because he kind of felt like his job was being threatened a little bit, and that Graham Jones was kind of trying to take the spotlight and take his role. But now that they seem to be getting along better and on better terms and working together as a team, and Steve Bruce has now gave him praise, which he does deserve. It's a collective, not an individual job, managing a football team. And I just think that's really, really positive, and it'll have an impact on the players and everyone else, because unity is the best way forward.
100%. Yeah, I'm going to, Kieran and Chris, I'm not ignoring you. I want to come to Al Walid because you guys appreciate these comments go thick and fast, so I will miss it. And this is an important question from Dodo Bird, who's always comes up with some great questions. And he's asking a question direct to Al Walid. And he says, sorry about that. Obviously, his message got missed earlier on. How would Al Walid see his country's fan base taken to Newcastle United should the takeover happen? Is it something they would relish, and are they looking forward to it? Al Walid, I'm going to ask you this. I would probably ignore that if I didn't feel the takeover was going to go through. As you know, I'm 100% sure this will go through at some time. So just for Dodo Bird, give him an answer.
For the fan base, usually we speak before that in Saudi Arabia we are being interested in Premier League. For me personally, since I was a kid, but in majority in Saudi Arabia, for now we are in 2021. So, and the games start playing in our TV, national TV. It was, I think, 99. So that's 20, almost more than 20 years, and most of the fans supporting. I'm not going to say the big six, but the different teams who are famous and make champions and have great players. That's in general. There is a few fans I met for Newcastle. They were studying in Newcastle for some part of their life, and they have care for Newcastle. But if inshallah the takeover will happen, it would be all the 30 million Saudis will have much care and much supporting for Newcastle, because we will feel it's like we have a team in the Premier League we love. So I'm expecting a huge fan base. You will see.
Great stuff. Julie has said gift for Kieran. I think it's some torture. So Kieran, Kieran, are you there?
I'm definitely here. Honestly, this light next to me is shite.
Get the key meter in, man. Put that 50-10 bob in.
Kieran, I genuinely can't see it. It's like no, it is like looking into like looking into a black hole.
Light in this room is shite. I do apologise. I've got a real
no worries, mate. Anyway, we'll talk. I can hear you perfectly well. Yeah. Just talking about talking about. Chris, don't start us off. We've all been out on the drink, and if I start going, everyone will start going. Kieran, just talking about the games leading up to this great escape. I mean, what was the turning point for you?
For me, I think it was the Aston Villa game. And if I remember correctly, Aston Villa scored in like the 86th minute or something, and then we went up the other end and scored in like the 93rd, 94th minute. So I mean, they did show great character to get back into that game. And from there on, it's been pretty good, isn't it? I mean, obviously the last four were unbeaten, but you have to give credit to the manager for bringing those players back in, really, isn't it? Like Richie, Longstaff, Murphy, and they're all playing in the formation that's working at the moment. And for me, if hopefully it doesn't happen, but if the sales doesn't go through. Someone in the comments earlier said it could be like rinse and repeat. I think it could be worse next season. Because you look at the teams coming up. I mean, big up Ben Foster and cycling GK. It'd be great to see that in the Premier League. But Watford, Norwich, the teams in the playoff, any of those teams in the playoff, they're going to be strong next season. So you never know, do you? It's so important that this happens because it's just going to be the same, isn't it? Next season.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? That it's going to be rinse. It's going to be rinse and repeat. It's going to be no takeover goes through. It's still dragging on, and that Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley are both still there. That is a worry for everybody. But hopefully that won't be the case. Nick DeMarco is putting some more tweets out tonight with a load of bread on, and I see the fans are getting excited again. Derek Sharp suggests that we get a fund going so we can get Kieran a stronger light bulb.
Yeah, go for it, definitely.
We'll leave that to the Supporters Trust. They can maybe do a pledge scheme for your bulb, mate. On to you, Chris. The turning point for Newcastle. This end of season has been. It's been a weird one. I mean, we've been through these many times before. We've been last day where we've been relegated. Spenny's mentioned it. Rafa took us down. Shearer took us down. Sadly, weren't given enough games, really, you've got to say, in defence of those two people. But then we had the John Carver day, when, Horner scored that fantastic goal and, we won at home and we stayed up. And, but we've been on both sides of that coin. But what was the turning point for you?
Yeah, I think what the other panel have already said, really valid points. I mean, Graham Jones coming in was a turning point, and I think we did see a resurgence. Obviously, we got that fantastic win against Everton. We really grinded out the win against Southampton when we went down to 9 men. So they were big points in the season, no doubt. But for me, it's got to be the Tottenham game. I mean, I take yours and Pete's points, about the fact that we were picking up the odd points and we were grinding results out. But I remember I was on Matchday Live for the Tottenham game. And I remember saying, as soon as we went 2-1 down, I remember saying for the second half, I don't even mind if I wouldn't be devastated if we got beat here, because that first half, I saw a real difference. And, the fight was there. The players were playing, for Bruce. And ultimately, I believe that was the game where Murphy, Longstaff and Ritchie came back in. And it was that match where we reverted to 5 at the back with the wing backs. And, things just improved. And then obviously, it's helped the fact that Maxi came back. Obviously, he did the big turnaround against Burnley. I think that's when we all started to believe that we were safe, when we got those 3 points against Burnley. But yeah, to sum it all up, I mean, you've got to give Bruce credit. I mean, as I think Spenny said, I don't particularly want, or Daz may have said it, I don't particularly want Bruce next season. But you've got to give credit where credit's due, and he's turned things around, and he's ultimately done the job that we all were hoping for, because we all know that this takeover would look even less likely if we were in the Championship, and that's what we all wanted to avoid. So yeah, for me, I would say it was the Spurs game and the change in formation, and Bruce offering an olive branch out to the certain players who would be able to keep us up. And since Ritchie, Longstaff and Murphy have come into the team, we've looked a completely different team. And that can't have been easy for him. Obviously, everything was so public. Craig Hope announced it. Still makes me laugh that Craig Hope actually did some, real good detective work, journalism. Checked with the club to make sure it was right, and it was. And then the club said they can't believe he said it. But for me, yeah, it was definitely that Tottenham game. That was the big turning point for me. And since then, performances have improved. Attitudes have improved, and like you said, Steve, it was fantastic to see all the players hugging Steve Bruce. I'm never going to be Steve Bruce's biggest fan, but it was really nice to see, and it was good for him as well, because as Spenny said, manager of the month, I can't think of many other managers who would be more worthy of it the past month than Bruce, because he really has picked up some great points and really got us out of trouble.
You're right, Chris. Manager of the month is a real possibility. Spenny mentioned it before. And I mean, he would deserve it. There's no doubt about it, Chris. He would deserve it. Yeah, definitely. Oh, and I just wanted to add as well, I just wanted to give a shout out to Graham McAvoy for pointing out my spelling mistake. So thank you very much for that, Graham. And I wish you the best of luck in the playoffs, mate. Yeah, Graham's been blocked from the chat after his constant goading of Newcastle fans. Why a Sunderland fan would sit and watch this, I really don't know, but it's probably better than watching his team. Craig Graham gets a great point across. He says, mystery panellist, reveal yourself. Kieran, I think he's talking about you.
Bear with me 1 second. I'll see if I can put this right.
Kieran, I don't think anybody's going to... I probably won't even end the show until we can actually see you, just because people don't believe you're actually there.
I should stay off that sunbed.
Most people are getting excited about Line of Duty, of course, which starts at 9 o'clock. Anybody watching Line of Duty? I am. Anyone up to date?
Yeah,
No?
but behind.
All right, okay. I'll keep my mouth shut. Nathan, you're always behind on things. That's because you're always out on the drink.
His beat's coming on well, though.
It is, it is.
It's not like bum fluff anymore.
It happens when you get to 21. Al-Walid, your views then on the last few weeks, mate. It's been an amazing few weeks, and it's been an absolute privilege for us over the last 12 months to spend time with you, and that is the beauty of the internet. Forget about the trolling, we've all experienced it. All of us on this panel have experienced it. We're being called a cult and far worse. But the beauty of the internet is that it brings people like you and I and everybody on this panel together, and you've been a fantastic pundit for us. You've been on the panel, you've never missed, you've got your commitments like we all have, but you've been on every single match day live. I think you're the only person who's more or less ever present. You've been on some of the shows. You've given us an insight into life in Saudi and your views on Saudi, and you've done it very eloquently. And obviously you do, because you do your own show across there. You've had many of us on your own shows. For me, you've been a lockdown legend for us, because you've given us that opportunity to interact with someone from Saudi. Give us your views, mate, as somebody who is across there and this great escape that we've had this season.
Thank you, Steve. I felt like I'm Saint-Maximin now. Match appearance, number of appearances.
Well, you have, actually, you've been. It's not a joke, It's very, very true. Very rarely do you cry off, and you have a lot of commitments in Saudi. People don't really know too much about you, but you do have a lot of commitments, but you always make time to come on, which is always much appreciated.
Thank you, Steve. Actually, thank you for this opportunity. We have together. We suffer from. We spent the takeover process all together, and hopefully, inshallah, it will become soon. I said earlier when the first time I appear with you, I think in Three Amigos, and I said it's coming home Newcastle, and still today I'm saying it's coming home Newcastle with the Premier League. Hopefully, I feel a little speechless, but. Maybe just one message now. We are the summer is coming, so we're gonna hear a lot of things, positive and negative. But we should. My message to the fans: just ignore. Don't give much care for the clickbaits. It's becoming every day. It's a clickbaits from everywhere. We should ignore them, and we just have to hear to the trusted people.
I've done a spenny tonight. It's because I'm trying not to laugh reading all of these Kieran comments about him being in the coal cupboard and all of that. Is Kieran naked? Is the latest one from Michael Whitten. This is the worst thing when you follow YouTube and you don't follow the chat. What are you actually, Kieran? Are you still there?
Hello. I'm still here, yeah.
Light in the Isle of Dark.
Brilliant. Right, okay, we're going to leave the last question to where John asked you, Al-Walid, and obviously it's been announced on social media, we've seen it. MBS has said that he's going to be doing a live interview. Obviously it's about the 2030 project. We know that it's about the vision and what they have. Do you think there might be some kind of positivity with regards to the takeover? Do you think he will swerve it? Do you think he will answer any questions? What's your opinion?
Usually, our prince Mohammed bin Salman, we always feel he's like one from the citizens. he always do these interviews, with us, with the people. I think it's going to be mostly about the vision, as you said, Vision 2030, and it's going to be, I think, mostly about internal affairs. I'm not really sure. We'll see tomorrow if there is something about Newcastle. I will translate it, of course, but I can't say 100%. But in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be, because there is so many internal affairs in Saudi Arabia. We have since Crown Prince become Crown Prince in our country, he changed a lot of negative things and turn it to positive and happy place. So I think this is going to be mostly about. But let's see. And if there is something, of course, we will translate it immediately.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, and make sure that the journalist doesn't steal it off you before you get it out there. In fact, send it to us. We'll send it to Liam Kennedy. At least it'll get a fair spread. That's probably the best thing. Kieran, it's been absolute. Kieran, yes, he's got his light on. I know. Derek Sharp says, Kieran, you're too bright now. No, turn it back off, says he. 50 pence has gone in the meter, says Donald Baines. I've now got me missus putting the light on. She says, "What about yours?" She's putting it on, but at least she can't see that you're in the pitch black, Kieran. Where you were. Well done, mate.
Yes,
Kieran, it's fantastic, mate. Great to see you. I didn't even realise you were on the show.
Yeah, I'm on the show.
No, joking aside, mate. Fantastic, great stuff. It's what makes this show, a success, I suppose, on social media and on YouTube. People enjoy it. It's just natural crack. And we've all been out. Most of us have had a drink today, as you can probably tell. Big thank you to Spider VPN for your internet security. They've sponsored us for the last 3 months, and it has been gratefully received. Thank you very much for doing that. Also, a big shout out to Arcot Interiors for your kitchen designs. Give them a visit at their website, which is here, arcotinteriors.com, and drop them an email at enquiries@arcot.org.uk, or give them a ring on 0191 265 8663. Big shout out to John, who's in the chat as always, at qtechshop.co.uk. They make us a pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and John from Jab, who makes all of our flyers. Subscribe to the channel, hit the Newcastle Legends logo, and hit the thumbs up to like the video, and click share to share it to your social media. And big thank you to everybody in the comments tonight. It's always a pleasure, and we've certainly had a laugh with you all. Been a great show. Great to have so many guests on, and this is what's made it special. We've all connected over this horrendous period in the world's time, but it's been great, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Match Day Live. Don't forget, please subscribe to Loaded HQ, Loaded Mag. They've got some great stuff going on there. Daz, Chris, and Rich and Martin doing some fantastic work there. They need more subscribers. Follow them on Twitter. It's great. I've got over 500 subscribers on Twitter now, but please subscribe to them on YouTube. Give them a follow. Even if you're just a Newcastle fan, follow the Loaded Mag content. It's really good. Got some great stuff going on. And as I keep saying, I'm not going to be doing this forever. I certainly can't keep up 7 nights a week. Loaded Mag is going to be there as an alternative as well. So, and people in the chat keep saying, are you going to keep going on? Don't scrap these things. Look, we'll have a chat with people. We're certainly not going to scrap everything. We'll still be going on, but it'll be up to the rest of the guys and girls what they want to do. I'm trying to give a platform for everybody to go out and do things, and that's what they're doing. Daz, has took the bull by the horns and gone off with Loaded Mag. Give it a bit of a promo, Daz. I can only do so much. I can mention it, but where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter and on Loaded HQ on YouTube. And as Steve says, please subscribe. That'd be great. We have 3 shows that are coming up in the next week. We have Loaded Football Weekly on Wednesday at 8. We have on Friday, we have Loaded Mag. I think Spenny's going to join us on this Wednesday. And then we'll have a review show on Sunday of the Newcastle Arsenal game. So, and probably the same again the week after that. But Come join us. Give us a watch and see what you think.
Pete, what about you, mate? What are you doing with your stuff down south?
we just go where the wind takes us, Steve. I've got to be honest with you. So yeah, we'll no doubt we'll be doing a preview for the Arsenal game at some point this week. You just have to keep your eyes peeled because it will just be in a split second that we'll be on, and then we'll do it. We don't really do too much promotion, but we're there. We've got a small fan base that follow us all the time. I know Keith Toll, follows us as well. Statman Keith. But yeah, we'll be about at some point this week. So keep your eyes peeled.
Good stuff. Al Walid, we don't often give you a chance to promote your channel, but please give it a plug because people will still come across, follow you. Give it a little bit of a promotion.
For LW Newcastle, of course, it's I try to do the show since about a year to translate and to transfer all the information about Newcastle club to the Saudi and Arab fans. I apologize. Sometimes it's not going to be in English unless we have English native speaker guest. Usually we'll make the show in English. And now, we have important guests now coming on, and I'm very happy about that. And I want to take the opportunity. I asked you before that, inshallah, hopefully, 22 May, we will do the season finale, and all you are invited.
Fantastic, good stuff. And for the rest of us, well, you can catch Spenny in his hot tub in Spennymoor. You can catch Nathan in a variety of bars outdoors at the moment. You can catch Nathan outdoors sitting in beer gardens in Burnley. And for Kieran, you can catch him in the dark. And for Holly, you can catch her tomorrow night with me on Ladies' Night, which is at 6 o'clock. Of course, with Alicia and Lily. Been a massive thank you to everybody for tuning in, and a big thank you to you guys and girls for tuning in. Always a pleasure. And isn't it just great just to have a happy, positive show?
Definitely. For a change.
Definitely.
Great stuff. Take care. See you all for Match Day Live, and see you tomorrow night, Holly. Take care. Good night.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way